And welcome back to Stanny Boy Reviews. I'm your host, Stanley. Thank you so much for taking your precious time to check out my channel where I like to talk about my favorite horror films and yours. You guys, happy Pride! And I would like to take the time to wish myself a happy birthday! Yes! This video is being shared on my actual birthday, June 12th. And while I'm at it, I'd like to wish a very happy birthday to one of my subscribers, Alex Marquez, who also has a birthday today. Imagine that. It's so weird to share a birthday with someone, especially someone that I like. I also share a birthday with Anne Frank, which is probably the biggest buzzkill. But honestly, Alex has been a very big support for my channel. So Alex, happy birthday to you, to me.
Another thing.
2 weekends ago, I had the pleasure of attending Monsterpalooza, which is something I do every year. I want to take this moment. If you guys don't know who Robert Burkar is, he is a Los Angeles-based artist who specializes in horror-themed paintings. Here is an example. He is so gifted, so talented, and I'm so blessed to call him my friend. He does commissions. Everyone should just be aware of his beautiful, beautiful work. Go check out his stuff now. Here is his Instagram. Love you, Robbo.
Amen.
Monsterpalooza was a treat, as usual. I got some cute little knickknacks. I collected all these from McDonald's this last year like a psychopath, so I was really happy to get these to attach to my Crocs. Yes, I'm a Croc guy. Oh my god. Everyone knows that I'm a big, huge Oz geek. And this is something I'm so happy about. Like, even showing it on a camera just doesn't do it a justice. It's beautiful. I also got to meet Scream Queen extraordinaire, Jill Sholin. That was a huge gift alone for me. I've been a huge fan my whole horror-loving life. She was so pleasant and wonderful. And I also got to promote this here little channel, so that's always good. Oh, subscribe! Get that out of the way now. All that said and done, today we are going to be talking about the Rob Savage directed, Stephen King adapted-ish, I guess, new theatrical release, The Boogeyman. Not that I really want to, but I have to stay current with all you kiddos out there. So here the f we are. So grab your fun little red box light thingies. Go grab your fun little bowling ball light thingies. Those little light thingies are probably the best part of this movie. And I guess go grab your pillows because you're gonna need them. I'm seated. I'm sure you're already seated. Let's just do this. Oh. And stay tuned after this review for some great clips of Monsterpalooza, taken by Alex, not me, because I have the attention span of a gerbil. Oh, look. So, The Boogeyman was originally published in 1973 as a short story by Stephen King in a magazine called Cavalier. Everyone knows that Stephen King has always been one of my favorite authors, but I've never read this. It would be later added to his Night Shift collection of short stories, published in 1978. Also featured in Night Shift, Children of the Corn, The Mangler, and Sometimes They Come Back, among others. Did ya know? Those would also be turned into full-length feature films within the next 10 to 15 years, all of which were not very good. Although I did like Sometimes They Come Back Again, which would be the sequel to Sometimes They Come Back, starring Hilary Swank and Alexis Arquette. I should review that movie. It's actually a lot of fun. The Boogeyman would go on to be adapted into a short film in the early 80s, and then adapted into a full-length play later on, and then again adapted into another short film by an Irish filmmaker named Gerald Lough. Lough? I don't know. Cut to 8 years later, 20th Century Fox had the rights to a script written by Scott Bex and Brian Woods, but the movie would be canceled with Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox. Of course, the project would be resurrected with director Rob Savage in the director's chair and Mark Heyman writing a script based off of the original script by Beck and Woods, respectively. It was filmed in New Orleans in early 2022. It was supposed to get a Hulu streaming debut, but due to positive audience screenings and strangely good feedback from Stephen King himself, it would get a theatrical release. And oddly enough, it opened third on its opening weekend. On Rotten Tomatoes, we've got a 62%. Cinema Score, we have a B-, and on Metacritic, we have a 55 out of 100. How in the world it has received even that good of a response is beyond me, because I'm telling you now, this movie is not good. There's nothing really redeeming about it at all. So let's just get into it. The Boogeyman is about Will, played by Hottie McHottie Chris Messina, who you might recognize from one of the best television shows ever created, 6 Feet Under. And thankfully he's here because at least he's nice to look at.
I'm listening.
It's always good when there's a hot dad. So he's a therapist. He has 2 daughters, Sadie, Yellow Jackets star Sophie Thatcher, and then Sawyer, the younger of the 2, played by Vivian Lyra Blair, who is the star of this show. She's so good. We'll get to her later. They've recently lost the family matriarch, and they're trying to put the pieces back together after this sudden loss. There's a lot of aftermath stuff here, and of course, Sawyer is having nightmares.
It's all just in your head.
A man named Lester, portrayed by who I consider to be a horror vet, David Dastmalchian. You know his face. He's from movies like The Belko Experiment and those Ant-Man movies. He stumbles into Will's office, claiming that an unseen entity has killed all 3 of his children. Subsequently, he's been blamed for it, and now the demon has attached itself to him.
What is this supposed to be? It's the thing that comes for your kids when you're not paying attention.
Shortly after that, Lester kills himself in the dead mom's art room. And from that point forward, the evil entity, or the boogeyman, whatever you want to call him, is now looming throughout the house trying to get to Sawyer. Because this is a Stephen King story, and all children in Stephen King stories are susceptible to evil. And really, that's it. That's all that happens. Not much else happens. You know what I hate most in horror movies? It's when the character hears the loud noise,
turns their head, and there's a single tear running down their cheek because they're so horrified already.
That happens a lot in this movie. I hate that. I will admit, by the time I took my seat in this theater, I was a couple of glasses wine deep, and I was a little excited. I had heard a couple of bad things from different people, but I like to give a lot of movies the benefit of the doubt because I like a lot of bad movies. But yo, had I been completely sober, I feel like I would have hated this movie a lot more. It just wasn't good, you guys. The performances were super bland, aside from young Vivian Blair and the brief glimpse we get of David Dastmalchian, but he's good in everything, so that's a given. But as much as I dig Sophie Thatcher, especially in Yellow Jackets, she just bugged the shit out of me. I could not put my finger on it exactly, but there was something off about her, and I don't know if it was the character, I don't know if it was her choices. I just couldn't hang with whatever she was giving me. And I don't care how hot Chris Messina is. There was not a lot that could have saved this movie. Even him and his cute ass. Not that they showed his ass in this movie. They do show it in 6 Feet Under. So if you want to see his cute ass, actually, go watch 6 Feet Under.
Actually, don't even watch this. Just go watch all 5 seasons of 6 Feet Under.
You have to promise me you won't listen to this.
Either way, I'm always blown away when writers think it's a good idea to take a Stephen King short story that is typically between 25 to 30 pages, and they try to expand and elaborate on it and make it into a nearly 2-hour film. It results in a bloated picture with so many plot holes, laughable dialogue, useless characters, and in this case, an underused title character that once put into play is not even a worthy addition to whatever is actually happening. This movie shouldn't have even been called The Boogeyman. Had you taken the boogeyman completely out of it, it might have been an interesting study on grief and loss, which Stephen King is really good at. Pet Sematary, for instance. If they would have focused on just those aspects and maybe used the boogeyman as some sort of metaphor, I think it would have worked much better. But as a horror movie, man oh man, it just... I think the script was a little overzealous and got carried away. And that's what happens when there's 3 or 4 writers attached to one thing. I'm interested to go back and read the short story now and even go back and watch the short that was made in the early 80s just to have some sort of comparison. But I didn't like this movie, so I just had no interest. I will say that I appreciated the jump scares, which is not something I often love when they're cheap. I need to be alone! But this movie really needed them, and Sawyer, man, really stole my heart. She really did it. The last few movies that I have reviewed have had some pretty damn good young actresses. Knock at the Cabin, Evil Dead Rise, this. I'm sure there's more to talk about as far as music goes, as far as direction goes, but I just don't really give a f. So I'm gonna wrap this up and just say on Stanny's Stab-A-Meter, I give this 1 stab, man. It's just a lame-o snoozer cash grab, to be perfectly honest. I would say save it for streaming if you have any interest in watching this, which I'm telling you, I watched it for you. You don't have to. I wish it was one of those movies that I just would have watched at home in the comfort of my own bed. If you want good Stephen King, watch Pet Sematary. Watch Misery. Watch Dolores Claiborne. Watch Sleepwalkers. I would rather watch a movie about incestuous, shape-shifting, inhuman cats than something like this ever again.
What the f?
This is a movie I will never watch again. Straight up. So what did you think, guys? Did you watch The Boogeyman? Do you plan to watch The Boogeyman? Please don't. But if you do, let me know what you think in the comments. Follow your boy. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great week. I'll be back soon with another review. Again, happy Pride. Be yourself. Be you. Don't be afraid. Save that for the horror movies. Take care.